Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss the entertainment from across the pond today as Donald Trump hails the German elections because he thinks the fascists won, when the party that actually won has openly attacked the orange one. But I'd also like to discuss what we know of Friedrich Merz and how things may change on the international scene with these results. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So yeah, Donald Trump heard that the Conservatives won and think that it's the fascist party that his Space Karen sidekick was promoting. He just hasn't a clue about anything, has he? Doesn't even understand election results of one of the world's largest economies. I wonder what his reaction is going to be when someone has to lean over and say, Mr. President, the new German government thinks you're a tosser. Merz is pro-Ukraine, I mean, really because he's pro-Europe, anti-Putin, and based on what he's been saying, not exactly a fan of Donald Trump. Trump will probably be complaining that the election was stolen by the end of the week, and I don't know whether it's hilarious or a little scary that Trump doesn't even understand who won the German elections. Obviously, it's natural to ridicule a political opponent when they expose their stupidity, but this is also the man who has been ultra-interventionist on a global scale, when he can't even understand basic things for which he has access to expert advisors if he needs to be briefed. Doesn't bode well for the unforeseeable circumstances that we're going to be facing over the next few years. Because that's the thing. I mean, he's the president. He's got access to experts. He doesn't have to say a word in public until he's consulted his experts. He had plenty of people to be able to say to him, this is the lay of the land now in Germany. And he hasn't done that. He's just reacted, which suggests that he routinely doesn't bother to consult experts, doesn't it? I think it's a bit scary that Trump doesn't understand things and doesn't consult experts. And do his supporters realise how stupid he's making them look by association as well? But anyway, Humpty Dumpty aside, and given that most of us actually can understand election results, what will Germany be like with Friedrich Merz at the helm? So, to begin with, worth noting that what Merz believes personally is not necessarily universally agreed upon by his party, and if he goes for a two-party coalition, it would not have much of a majority. So, as with any political leader, where they stand personally is not necessarily the position their government will take. Nature of democracy over absolute monarchy. Consensus politics in stark contrast to what's happening in America. However, all we can do right now is look at where Merz stands on key issues of urgent foreign policy. At the point I'm recording this, I'm not clear on exactly what the government will look like. I'm not sure we're even supposed to find out today. Mathematically, the CDU can just work in coalition with the SPD, and that gets them a majority after some of the smaller parties marginally failed to hit the 5% mark to get seats in the Bundestag. Incidentally, on that point, when we adopt electoral reform in Britain eventually, I would not at all mind as our starting point being the German system and then adapting it to British taste. But anyway, what do we know about Merz? Well, he is going to be more interventionist than Scholz. He is likely to provide more proactive leadership for the EU, which it's crying out for, and is open about the need to work on a European future that accepts America has lost interest. He is keen to grasp the nettle on security for both Germany and Europe. He also wants to supply the weapons to Ukraine, which Scholz resisted. Basically, in terms of foreign policy, Merz is likely to be an improvement on the outgoing Chancellor. He has already talked about the need to strengthen Europe as quickly as possible. Now, his own domestic policy and spending will take time to thrash out. If he forms a two-party coalition, he needs to get close to unanimous support to get anything done, doesn't he? If he thinks a three-party coalition is better, he can bypass a few rebels, but then has an extra party to have to negotiate policies with, which could take longer. However, he should have a freer hand to give some leadership in the EU more quickly, and he sounds to me like he means business there. He said that Europe has to, step by step, achieve independence from America, and that he never thought he'd have to say that. Merz, of course, is a conservative, and the transatlantic friendship is always most highly prized by European conservatives. But this is the reality that pragmatic politicians, regardless of their philosophies, are having to face up to. In stark contrast to Kemi Badenoch, leading the equivalent party in the UK, is sticking her head in the sand over it. Like, can you imagine the Tories openly saying, Yeah, we need to actively work on making ourselves independent from America. Like, even Labour and Starmer can't say that. Yet here is the new head of government. This isn't like Ed Davey chirping away on the sidelines here, because he's much freer to say what he thinks. This is the actual head of government of the largest economy in Europe, who's going to be leading the diplomatic response of Germany on the world stage, saying just that. I mean, I would say, despite a lot of focus on how the AfD double their vote share, which is important because it dilutes the Bundestag where national interest and pragmatic politics is concerned. For example, I gather Merz won't be able to carry out a big boost to defence spending or Starmer-style reforms on infrastructure because the AfD and Die Linke have the numbers to block him on that and are expected to do so. So domestically, it's not going to be a strong government. Also, to draw parallel with the UK, like the surge in support for the AfD has had knock-on effects in terms of like immigration rhetoric. Like Reform UK are not in power in Britain. They've got 5 MPs out of 650. It's pathetic. But they are setting much of the tone, even on government policies that interact with immigration, for example. The AfD are doing likewise in Germany, and they have much more impactful share of the seats now than Reform UK do in Westminster. But that aside, the big story is whatever crap happens domestically in Germany, there is going to be some stronger international leadership at least. Sometimes funny to reflect on foreign heads of government, isn't it? Like, if I were French, would not be a fan of Macron. If I were German, would not have voted for the Christian Democrats. But both of those figures may well be the best leaders that those countries could have right now, as far as international politics goes. Essentially, because the most prominent left-wing leaders in both countries are pro-Putin, which would not be at all helpful right now. Often the way that heads of government can be, they can often be more popular abroad than at home. And I suppose it's because to be good on the world stage, you just actually have to be sensible and understand reality. At home, yeah, your specific ideology plays a bigger role. And a German chancellor whose own political philosophy would naturally make him a supporter of the leadership role of America and Republicans in particular, and of NATO, to be able to say they need to become independent of America and to say that they're not sure what NATO's future is. That is a sign that they don't have their head in the sand. Though I have to say, it's still surprising for a leader of a government to not just say these things off the record, but be quoted saying them publicly. In Britain, our political leaders almost never vocalise uncomfortable facts. They may face up to them behind closed doors, that's the best we can hope for, never in public. Merz has even attacked American interference in the elections, likening it to Russian interference. So I'm listening to what this guy's been saying since the election results, and I'm getting the strong impression of someone who wants to get moving without delay. Donald Trump is in for a bit of a rude awakening when he realises who actually won. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.